Mangwana ni mwalelepo vukenjani request vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashwin Mbedi. These are some of the top stories we'll be looking at today. One killed as Kenyan anti-government protests intensify again. Kagame poised for fourth term with 99.15% of the vote. And Somalia militiamen seize heavy weapons, this after looting a convoy. DSTV 285, GoTV 25, oneup2.com and Network Media Hub on YouTube is precisely where you can find us. We're also going to have Ari Hohad coming in, giving us the latest news stories from South Africa. Top stories after the break.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
All right, in our first top story, hundreds of anti-government protesters have taken to the streets of Kenya, demanding that embattled President William Ruto resign. Tuesday's demonstrations, spanning from the capital Nairobi to the southern coastal town of Mombasa, are the latest bout of unrest since government-planned tax hikes prompted mass anger in mid-June. Reporting from Nairobi, Al Jazeera's Malcolm Webb said police were firing tear gas abundantly in the city center, trying to stop any crowds from forming. In the nearby town of Kitengela, some 200 protesters burned tires and chanted, "Ruto must go." At least one person was killed, according to a witness quoted by the Reuters news agency. Kenyan activists, unmoved by Ruto's concession to axe the $2.7 billion in planned tax hikes to ease the initial protests, are threatening a total shutdown of the country. Now moving over to Rwanda, President Paul Kagame has won 99% of the vote, this in provisional results from Monday's presidential election, electoral authorities said. An outcome that was widely expected as the country's longtime ruler aims to extend his three-decade grip on power. Kagame's opponents, Frank Habineza of the Democratic Green Party of Rwanda and independent candidate Philippe Mpayimana, were collectively getting under 1% of the vote in provisional results, accounting for 79% of all ballots cast. The result mirrored the outcome in 2017 when Kagame took nearly 99% of the vote. Final results are expected on the 27th of July, although they could be announced sooner. The 66-year-old Kagame, who has held power since the end of the country's genocide in 1994, was running virtually unopposed. Two of his stronger critics were blocked from running for high office. Now moving on. At least 5 people were killed when armed militiamen ambushed a convoy, this in central Somalia, and seized heavy weapons, the local government and residents said yesterday, 7 months after a decades-long arms embargo was lifted. The convoy was traveling on Monday with a security escort near the town of Abduwaka when militiamen from a local clan attacked and overpowered security forces, 4 residents told Reuters. They said the arms, which included machine guns, anti-aircraft weapons and rocket-propelled grenades, originated in neighboring Ethiopia. It is unfortunate that 5 people died from both sides yesterday over weapons, said Ahmed Shara, a security advisor to the president of Galmudug state, where Abduwaka is located. Now, Rashid Abdi, an analyst with the Sahan research think tank, called the incident the single most serious incident of arms proliferation in central Somalia and said that some of the weapons would likely be bought by Al-Shabaab and Al-Qaeda affiliate. Now, Angola proposed yesterday at the UN headquarters in New York the reform of the United Nations Security Council in order to respond quickly and effectively to crises and conflicts in the world. The position was expressed by Angola's representative in the organization, Francisco José da Cruz, at the plenary meeting of the UN General Assembly, which analyzed the Security Council report. On that occasion, he reaffirmed the common African position of the Ezulwini Consensus and the insert declaration, which reiterates the need for at least 2 permanent and 5 non-permanent seats for African states on the United Nations Security Council. Now, the Mozambican Association of Judges has announced that some of its members will take strike action from 9 August because the government has shown no willingness to solve the problems faced by judges. Speaking to reporters in Maputo, the AMJ chairperson Esmeraldo Matavele said that the interest of judges had been seriously damaged with the implementation of the single wages table as from 2022. At that time, the AMJ did all it could for the TSU not to go ahead in its original shape. It was a setback for the gains made by judges in terms of their remuneration, Matavele said. Unfortunately, the TSU went ahead and was approved. He described the TSU as an affront which has weakened Mozambican judicial power. A further concern of the AMJ is the financial independence of judges. The time has come, Matavele insisted, for the Mozambican state to grant true financial independence to the judicial power. All right, ahead of President Cyril Ramaphosa delivering his opening of Parliament address, we're going to be talking to Ari Hogarth shortly after the break as he brings us the news stories directly from South Africa.
Welcome to Namibia, where adventure meets tranquility. With Enjoy, you have access to a wide range of accommodations to suit every traveler's taste and budget. Experience the finest dining and hospitality Namibia has to offer. Booking your dream accommodation is just a few clicks away with Enjoy. Join thousands of happy travelers who have trusted Enjoy for their Namibian getaway. Your gateway to unforgettable Namibian adventures. Visit us today at enjoy.my.na.
All right, it's time for us to get the latest news stories from South Africa. Good morning, Ari. How are you?
Yes, very good morning, Ashwin. Nice to talk to you. All good. What's happening in South Africa?
Yes, indeed. And President Cyril Ramaphosa is set to open Parliament tomorrow. Please get into that story.
Yes, it's comparable to soccer teams and rugby teams that's running onto the field with players from different regions representing that team. So all of a sudden, it's a national government of unity. That's President Ramaphosa. Luckily, there was they called it a Lekgotla. That was a cabinet first meeting that happened last week or just a few days ago, and it was described as being they were great synergy. That's the photo they've taken. So that's a good start. Obviously, there's going to be pulls and twos and fros. There's going to be different opinions and different policies from different parties, but hopefully all on the same page, especially related to trade and service delivery. Those are on the agendas, obviously. That's something you'll talk about. That's the trade in Johannesburg. And then also unemployment and education. Education is a big thing. There's the Bella bill that they talk about, the bill for education that was went through the parliament, went through the process just before the elections, but it seems like all the parties want it to be revisited before it is signed. So lots of points there for education to be discussed. And then also economy-wise, it is there's going to be a summit, they call it the African Growth and Opportunity Summit in Washington. That's going to be visited by the Trade, Industry and Competition Minister, Park Stow. So he will have an opportunity to also engage with the United States. So obviously, there was statements made already from that ministry say that to review the bilateral ties with South Africa that is from the United States side. So that's all up for discussion. So it's a game plan that he's going to discuss with the president. Obviously, we're well aware of the challenges of unemployment. It's 32.9%, unfortunately, 8.2 million people that's unemployed in South Africa at the moment. So that will be a hot topic as well. So we all wait and see, but it seems like the team is working together with some rumblings from the back as well.
All right, Ari. Now, South Africa continues to have more electricity load shedding. However, Eskom has announced that nuclear plant number 1 can power up for 20 more years.
Yes, that's good news for South Africa. So it's a new life for us all of a sudden in South Africa without the load shedding. So we're nervously enjoying this because it's winter. So there's a high demand in winter. It's colder. People use more electricity. So that's one of the power stations, Lukile, and it has been 112 days. Can you believe it? Since the last the last time we had the load shedding. So it's all down to, there's a few reasons. There was more solar energy coming in as well, but there's aggressive plant maintenance that started in March 2023 that's coming through according to Eskom. So the reality is that there's electricity and there's no cuts at the moment. So that's repairs being done. Obviously maintenance is a big thing, but the nuclear that you talked about in Kuburg, so there's 2 units. Unit number 1 got the okay for another 20 years. So they're happy with the safety requirements that was put on the table. That's Kuburg there, Table Mountain and Cape Town in the distance. And so the other one, Unit 2, that is still in discussion, but hopefully that will also be added. It's not adding a massive amount of energy, electricity to the whole grid. It's about 4 or 5% of the whole process for South Africa, but it adds a very important component. So hopefully South Africa will continue to have electricity.
All right. Now, the Electoral Court has set down a hearing date related to election rigging, vote rigging allegations, rather, despite the fact that the MK party withdrew the case.
Yes, and the message from the Electoral Court is that, let's put this to trial. Let's close this situation because it's easy to make statements. So I think that is what they're after. To say there is a case now going to be heard on the 29th of July. That's before the Electoral Court. The MK had a campaign, a weeks-long campaign to discredit the ISC, the International Electoral Committee, after the election. So it's easy to make all those statements, but the Electoral Court say, let's test this. If it was not made, if there's no proof, then it's also obviously not right of the MK party just to make statements that they can't support with proof. So it's easy to then just say, we don't want to go to court anymore. So it's going to be heard. So I think it's a good thing, and that is to put it to bed if the election was indeed fair, free and fair. So that will happen on the 29th of July.
All right. Now, in the last of your stories, Ari, the Minister in the Presidency, Khumbuzo Ntshavheni, is stepping up the pressure on people implicated in the VBS Mutual Bank scandal of 2018. Tell us more.
Yes, the former chairman of the VBS Bank, he had his affidavit was quite explosive, and it was leaked out to the media. That was Machosi, and that he implicated some members that's still ANC members and EWF or EFF members, quite prominent members as well. So obviously it's just an affidavit first. So that is his statements. It must be tested, and the facts must come to the front. But the reality there is 1.9 billion South African rand lost in that whole process. And what happened was the VBS Bank targeted the municipalities that was not well structured and didn't have lots of experience, and all their money, their budgets, they got channeled into this bank to kind of invest it for them, but it just got lost. So it's 1.9 billion South African rand that is lost there. So it is the EFF president. Julius Malema, he was cleared just end of last year by the parliament and said that there was not enough evidence. Now all of a sudden there's some more evidence with the affidavit, so it will probably be tested again for merit. But hopefully the people we're not implicating, he is guilty, but there's more people that was implicated in this affidavit. So hopefully they will come. There will be a process to get them in court.
All right. Thank you very much, Adi, for bringing us the news stories from South Africa.
Yes, a big pleasure, Ashwin, and a brilliant day for everyone. Bye-bye.
All right. Let's swing over to the weather predictions before we return with economic news. Getting into economic news stories, yesterday the central banks of the United Arab Emirates and Ethiopia signed a bilateral currency swap agreement with a value of up to 3 billion dirhams, which is the equivalent of $816.79 million. The two central banks also signed preliminary agreements to establish a framework for the use of local currencies in settling cross-border transactions and for linking their payment and messaging systems. A currency swap involves the exchange of interest and sometimes of principal in one currency for the same in another currency. Companies doing business abroad often use currency swaps to get more favorable loan rates in the local currency than if they borrowed money from a local bank. Now, Mozambique secured $650.5 million in foreign direct investment in the first quarter, above the 2023 record, according to central bank data compiled by Lusa yesterday. According to the most recent statistical report from the Bank of Mozambique, this volume of FDI invested in the country resulted from shares and participations worth $51.5 million and capital in supplies and commercial credits worth $599 million. Compared to the previous year, FDI in Mozambique had already grown by 2% in 2023 to just over $2.50 billion. This performance compares with $2.458 billion in 2022. However, it is too far from the peak recorded in 2021, with investments in the area of natural gas production, which caused FDI in Mozambique to soar that year to almost $5.102 billion. All right, let's have a look at the economic indicators just before Ari returns with the sport.
E-ticket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. For more information, contact events@nhh.com.na.
Good day, everyone. Time for international sports news, and starting off with tennis news first. After Wimbledon is done, the champions were crowned. Barbora Krejcikova, she won the women's side of the draw, and then it was Carlos Alcaraz winning the men's side of the draw. World rankings that came out in the new week. It is Barbora Krejcikova that's up from 22nd in the world now to number 10 in the world, the best position ever. And then also it is still Iga Swiatek, that's the world number 1. Coco Gauff of the United States is number 2, and then Aryna Sabalenka is the world number 3. Barbora Krejcikova played against Jasmine Paolini of Italy in the final of Wimbledon. She's also up to number 5 in the world rankings, that is Paolini. On the women's side of world tennis, it is the winner of Wimbledon, that is Carlos Alcaraz, that remain in number 3 on the world rankings. That's because he won Wimbledon also last year, so he didn't gain any points. So the world number 1 still is Yannick Sinner of Italy. Number 2 is Novak Djokovic. Continuing with golf news, it is the British Open that will start this week, Royal Troon, and it is also big news that Tiger Woods will play in the tournament. He's already now 48 years old, but he's a legend in world of golf. He won 15 majors, and he also played in 23 British Opens, and in all he played in 95 majors, so he's a big draw card, and he said that his golf is still good enough to contest for the title, and but he will have it up against some of the top players in the world, some of them being Scotty Scheffler, the world number 1, also Bryson DeChambeau that recently won the US Open, and then some of the other players is Rory McIlroy, and some of the younger players coming through like Ludwig Aberg. The British Open starts on Thursday, and will finish, the 4th round will be on Sunday. On to motor racing news, and it's Hungarian Grand Prix, the next one this coming weekend, and the points at the moment is that Max Verstappen still leads the overall points table on 255. He's racing in a Red Bull Honda, and behind him is Lando Norris on 171. He's in McLaren. He's challenging Max Verstappen at the moment, and also Charles Leclerc. He's 3rd on 150 points, and it is in 8th position now Lewis Hamilton after he won the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. He's got 110 points. On to the Constructors' Championship, that is 2 races per team, and there it is Red Bull still dominating, mostly because of Max Verstappen, and they've got 373 points, followed by Ferrari, 71 points back on 302 points, and then chasing in 3rd position McLaren, they've got 295, and closely behind them Mercedes on 221. So it's a Hungarian Grand Prix that will start this weekend, or will be on Sunday. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Welcome to Namibia, where adventure meets tranquility. With Enjoy, you have access to a wide range of accommodations to suit every traveler's taste and budget. Experience the finest dining and hospitality Namibia has to offer. Booking your dream accommodation is just a few clicks away with Enjoy. Join thousands of happy travelers who have trusted Enjoy for their Namibian getaway. Your gateway to unforgettable Namibian adventures. Visit us today at enjoy.my.na.
Thank you for staying with Africa. Good morning. Let's have a look at the highlights from the broadcast. New anti-government protests kick off in Kenya with calls for Ruto to quit. Rwandans vote in presidential and legislative election with Paul Kagame taking away 99%. And UAE, Ethiopia signed currency swap agreement with value of up to $817 million. Those have been our stories. DSTV 285, GoTV 25, 1up2.com, and Network Media Hub on YouTube is precisely where you can find us. From me, Ashwin Berry, and the Africa Good Morning team. Swela Jokanaka.